Now, we've all heard about the underwear bomber that was brought across the waters with obviously CIA guys with him the whole time, even got him on the plane without a passport, all that nonsense to get laws rammed through across the whole planet, because they all copy each other once it happens in the States. And here's another one here that sounds exactly the same as actually even stupider, actually. And they're all sting operations where they set up, the big authorities set up what appear to be radical people on the internet with big sites, you see, and saying all the nasty, nasty things to get someone who's a bit flaky to join them. Then they set them up, they give them explosives, then they go on in a sting, and well, see, we caught another terrorist. No, they just created a potential terrorist. That's the reality. A 26-year-old U.S. citizen has been arrested for allegedly plotting to fly explosive-packed remote-control planes into the Pentagon and the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. What they've got to do is make something happen, so why not just make it happen? Make it happen. Reswan Ferdous was also charged with attempting to supply materials to Al-Qaeda. I bet he doesn't even know anybody in Al-Qaeda, and aid attacks on U.S. soldiers. The Northeastern University physics graduate is accused of planning to commit jihad since early 2010. Mr. Ferris was arrested in Boston after an undercover investigation by the FBI. They led him the whole way. Do you remember it was the FBI that did the World Trade Building bombing number 1? And it came out in court, the FBI gave the guys, they actually recruited the guys for this, trained them, and gave them real explosives. And luckily, one of the guys taped it all and played it in court, or he'd have been a goner too. Here they are again. But wait to hear the rest of this nonsense. Back with more after this break. Hi folks, I'm Alan Watt. We're cutting through the matrix, talking about how they create sting operations to create what appears to be terrorism in order to keep it in the public awareness and keep it on the news and to try and rationalize and justify all this cash they're spending, plus taking everyone's rights away, you see. And I'm talking about the FBI being at it again. It says, listen to this now, it says, announcing his arrest, the U.S. Department of Justice described an elaborate operation over a period of months leading up to the arrest of Mr. Ferdous. Now, what was he before this? We don't know. But I guarantee he wasn't doing what they got him to do. Authorities said he designed and supplied undercover operatives with a total of 8 mobile phone detonators intended to be used by Al-Qaeda operatives to set off bombs in the Middle East. Well, they don't need them made in America, believe you me. They've got plenty over there. I'm sure they get them from China and elsewhere. But the fact is, what did this guy do before? They won't tell you. I bet he wasn't involved in anything. Anyway, it says here, during a June 2011 meeting, Mr. Ferdous was told that his first phone detonation device had killed 3 U.S. soldiers and injured 4 or 5 others in Iraq. And this is their quote. It sounds like that terrible, fuzzy film they used to show of bin Laden, hey? That was exactly what I wanted, he reportedly told the undercover agents. It's like out of a script, you know. Also during 2011, Mr. Ferdous began speaking to the agents about his desire to organize an attack on the Pentagon. Was it his? Was it his idea? Or did they give it to him? Home of the U.S. military, Capitol building in Washington, D.C., seat of the U.S. Congress. He described the Pentagon as the head and heart of the snake and said he was targeting the enemies of Allah. This is just too scripted, the affidavit said. Mr. Ferdous is said to have told an informant. He told an informant? Weren't they all FBI guys? Probably all from the Middle East that they hire, because they hire lots of them to try and create these situations. Allah has given us a privilege. He punishes them by our hand. We are the ones. Posing as accomplices, the undercover agents then supplied him with grenades, 6 machine guns, and C4 explosives. Now, has this guy got any record at all prior to them approaching him on anything? Or any grandiose, delusional ideas? Mr. Ferdous was also supplied with a remote-control plane that could be guided by GPS and fly at 100 miles an hour, it says here. Mr. Ferdous is accused of planning to smash the Capitol dome to smithereens and follow up with a ground attack of 6 people, all armed with automatic weapons in 2 groups. Of course, the 6 people will be the operatives that were sent in and befriended them, right? He is said to have traveled to Washington on a surveillance trip in June 2011 as part of his planning. He'd be chauffeur-driven, probably. Mr. Ferdous allegedly said all unbelievers of Islam were his enemies when he was asked about the possibility of killing women and children. Again, awfully scripted. Soldiers in front of the Pentagon. Now, it shows you the pictures and a whole bit. Anyway, he was arrested Wednesday immediately after putting the newly delivered weapons in a storage container, the FBI said. Did they give him the key and show him where the container was, right? The storage space had been hired by Mr. Fergus to work on the planes, but he told the manager of the space he would be using it for music. The conduct alleges today shows that Mr. Fergus had long planned to commit violent acts against the country, including attacks in the Pentagon and our nation's capital, U.S. Attorney Carmen Ortiz said. So, I mean, I keep telling young people especially, don't get sucked into these websites across, it doesn't matter what country you're in. Right after 9/11 happened, even operatives from MI5 in Britain came out and said that if they start using the internet to try to suck in people who are a bit unstable to create sting operations, that they'll create an Al-Qaeda that wasn't there before. And that's what they've been doing ever since. All the countries are at it. They get some young, impressionable fools who live in science fiction. They watch nothing but science fiction, and then they start to build them up. Oh, you can do this. You could be a hero, etc., etc. And then they supply them with all the gear, and the sting comes in, and that's their head on the chopping block. And it's great for the business of anti-terrorism, just like science now with global warming. It's great business. It's growing, but it's a growth industry. Fantastic.